and welcome to the programme. On the Sunday game tonight, we'll have the best of the weekend's action and, hot off the presses, that Munster football semi-final replay. Last Sunday, in the wind and rain of Killarney, this traditional battle between Cork and Kerry ebbed and flowed until the final whistle decreed they would meet again this evening. The big game here on the programme tonight. This afternoon, we had another big pairing at the new look Cork Park. It was Dublin and Meath who would enjoy the rub of the lush green today. Over in the west, Mayo and Roscommon met in Castlebar, but not in the Connacht Championship. Today, it was the last chance this summer for one of them. And the changing face of Croke Park, we take a look at the altered face of Jones's Road. Yes, that and more here on the Sunday game tonight. We'll also have a roundup of the weekend's other big matches and discussions on those games with our studio panel. Now tonight, Joe Brolly is here with us in studio, and so too is Pat Spillane, who had an anxious couple of hours watching Kerry against Cork. We'll be hearing from them later, and perhaps hearing from you. Now here's our email address if you want to put through any comments to the Sunday game, as you certainly did last weekend. sundaygame@rte.ie is where you'll find us, and you can also see our website displayed there on the screen if you want to give that a visit at some stage. Now also, later on in the programme, we'll be hearing your views on who the man of the match selections are from today's live matches. It's your choice as to who receives our Galway Irish Crystal trophies here on the programme each Sunday night. Well, you've made those phone calls during the day, the choices have been decided, the results in a little while. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also have our competition. That's a chance for you to win a top-of-the-range mobile phone with call credit or tickets to the Vodafone GA All-Stars Banquet, plus last week's winners. OK, that's coming up after we've been to Páirc Uí Chaoimh for that replayed Munster football semi-final between Cork and Kerry. Jim Carney is your commentator on a game played against a backdrop of bereavement in the Kerry camp with the death during the week of Mike O'Shea. Well, before this evening's match, a minute's silence was observed in memory of a man not just well known within GAA circles, but with such direct links with the present Kerry football team.
Cork continue to use their former stalwart halfbacks Owen Sexton and Kieran O'Sullivan in the full back line. Sean Levis is retained at number 5. The Cronin brothers, Martin and Allen, are again in the half-forward line. But there's one change in the inside line. Dual star Diarmuid O'Sullivan is kept on standby this evening. His replacement is Philip Clifford, very experienced and said to be back to his best form. Apart from goalkeeper Declan O'Keefe, Kerry make changes in every line. Tom O'Sullivan is the new full-back. Enda Galvin is brought into the half-line at left half. At midfield, Seamus Moynihan partners captain Darragh O'Shea from the start. The half-forward line is Declan Quill, Darragh O'Keneja and Colm Cooper. And in the inside line, Liam Hassett is the new full forward and John Crowley goes to top of the left. Referee Brian White of Wexford starts the Munster semi-final replay, and the first touch for Seamus Moynihan, with Cork playing from left to right with the wind into the Blackrock end. But it's Kerry with the first attack. Now a much changed Kerry forward line, and the first touch for Liam Hassett perhaps. Well, he's let it run to John Crowley. Back to Liam Hassett, goes for the first score of the game, across the face of the goal and wide in 20 seconds. Anthony Lynch through midfield, looking for movement in front of him, looking for Philip Clifford. The breaks to Fionn Murray. Great save by Declan O'Keefe. Brilliant goalkeeping by one of the best in the business. But what relief here that Declan O'Keefe was so on his game in the early minutes. Fionn Murray with the chance did nothing wrong. Declan O'Keefe did everything right. Mike Frank Russell out around midfield. Tomás O'Shea comes through. Wonderful solo run. Sean Levis chasing back. Fouls, free into Kerry. So what might have been a goal at one end is transferred into a scoring opportunity at the other. Darragh O'Keneja on Gaeltacht. Micheál O'Sullivan. Cork coming for his first touch, knocks it down very well to Martin Cronin. Clifford, wide. It was a great chance. Well, Philip Clifford must know that that really was an opportunity, but it really was on his wrong side. He isn't quite as two-footed as some of the other great exponents of two-footed finishing, and that, I think, is what cost him the chance. Micheál O'Sullivan to Fionn Murray. Got onto it well. From outside the 45, looking for Corkery. Tom Sullivan at full back on Corkery. Great catch. A quick flip up, goes for the point. Corkery, the king of Corky Cleave again. Beaten down by Darragh O'Shea, but it falls for Nicholas Murphy. To Corkery again. Tom Sullivan on him. Good marking there, right to Corkery, won the ball. To Fionn Murray. He's got a lot of pace, but there's no passing, Mark O'Shea. Once, twice, Corkery, Murray goes to him. O'Keefe saves it again. This is a wonderful stopper. Declan O'Keefe. Fionn Murray against Mark O'Shea. Murray did ever so well. Right, left, shot. O'Keefe beautifully positioned. Good crossfield ball by Nicholas Murphy. That was vision. Colin Corkery out to it. Good ball by Colin Corkery. This man really can play. Fionn Murray back to Martin Cronin. Goes for his point. Good score. Martin Cronin from Nemo. Showing that he's effortlessly made the switch from left half back to centre forward. Well, an unusual vantage point for Larry Tompkins. He's chosen to leave the sideline duties to Eamon Ryan this evening. Very well run by Darragh O'Shea, so determined. Good run forward, great shoulder charge on Sean Levis. Leaves it to Colin Cooper, cutting in, across the face of the goal. He was looking for a punch in, but Anthony Lynch and the Cork defence held firm. That kick by Kevin O'Dwyer found Nicholas Murphy coming through from midfield. And Kerry just guilty of not really marking up at the moment. It's too loose from their point of view. Fionn Murray turning, twisting and driving for the point. Good score by Fionn Murray. Well, that's much more like it by Fionn Murray when he concentrates on playing football. And that's a good score. Moynihan's such an influential figure, no matter where he's playing. Full back, wing back, midfield, and here he is attacking. Great run by Seamus Moynihan. Now he's just running into a bit of trouble there, but he'll look for help. He finds it. Declan Quill, off his right, over the bar, good score. Declan Quill's score, but it was made by that man, Seamus Moynihan. Good run, and when he ran into trouble at the end of it, he knew what to do. And with Moynihan, it's always something sensible. Now Nicholas Murphy just gets away from Seamus Moynihan to give it to Martin Cronin on halfway. Philip Clifford's made a very good run. Mike McCarthy with him. Good work by Clifford. Incisive run. A man who can get goals. And wide. Well, he missed one earlier. Coming in from the right. Here, coming in from the left, it was the side that favoured him. He got away from Michael McCarthy. Michael did well to get back all right, but it was a chance. Johnny Crowley did well to keep that ball in, but possession has come Cork's way through Owen Sexton, who loves to attack. Cork people were wondering how he'd settle in the corner because he's got a lot of flair as a forward-type player. Now Fionn Murray out from the corner, going for a point across the face of the goal, and it's over the bar. Nicholas Murphy against Seamus Moynihan. The taller man, Murphy won it. Brendan Gerard Sullivan in support. Mark O'Shea comes to it for Kerry. Well read again. To Mike McCarthy. Saw the challenge coming. To Darragh O'Shea. Always available. Opening up the field for Johnny Crowley. Now his first touch not quite as sure as usual here this evening, but he's played a nice ball to Darragh O'Shea, who looks for Colin Cooper. And Mike Frank Russell. From an angle that favours him. Good drive by Mike Frank Russell. Graham Canty standing underneath it, and Sean Levis in support. Knocked away by Tomas O'Shea, but Brendan Gerard Sullivan kept his eye on it. Did well. Philip Clifford won it well. Now hadn't had any luck with his shooting, but he plays a nice ball to Sean Levis. To Fionn Murray. This has been the jewel of the game so far. Murray and Mark O'Shea. Nice ball to Alan Cronin to make Enda Galvin work hard in the Kerry defence. Cronin off his left. Should be a score. Yes! Cork pulled clear again. 3 points the lead thanks to Alan Cronin from Nemo Rangers. Well, good crossfield play here by Cork. The build-up was patient. Kerry weren't getting their tackles in, and Alan Cronin punished them. Micheál O'Sullivan and Darragh O'Shea again. Wonderful catch by Dara. For Mike Frank Russell. On the 45. Colin Cooper is going in. And he's gone all the way. The goal's given. The referee, Brian White, turned away. He was happy. He was right in front of the goal. The umpire was happy too. And above all, Colin Cooper's happy. Goal to Kerry. Darragh O'Shea did so well first of all, then Mike Frank Russell with the high one that dropped invitingly for a forward, terrible for a goalkeeper, and in it went by Cooper. Through to Noel Kennelly. Now he's got to do something with the ball here. There'll be a free against him. There is. Good ball from Martin Cronin to Jim O'Donoghue, the substitute. Seamus Moynihan goes back to Philip Clifford. Needs a score for the sake of his confidence after a few misses in the first half. Now that is more like it by Philip Clifford. He used to be such a deadly striker, but he missed 2 goal chances in the first half. How refreshing it is, though, that his confidence wasn't dented too much. There's a point to put it right back up sky high. For Colin Corkery. Oh, shielded it beautifully. Lovely hands by Corkery. To Philip Clifford. Knocked away from him by Mike McCarthy. Good cornerback play. But he's got to do it again. Clifford goes on the outside. Good play by Philip Clifford. Will he punch a point or go for a goal? Great goalkeeping in again by Declan O'Keefe. That's great goalkeeping. He had to come out, and he came. Now, did he come too hard? Clifford got round Mike McCarthy. Now cutting in. And as he shot, Declan O'Keefe bravely came out. Referee Brian White has given a yellow card to Declan O'Keefe, and so accordingly he's judged this to be a penalty. Colin Corkery saved by O'Keefe, through by Alan Cronin, saved again by O'Keefe. Mossy Lyons there, Seamus Moynihan there. And Darragh O'Shea on the ball for Kerry. Well, this was the moment when Cork held their breath. It wasn't the best penalty that Colin Corkery's ever taken, but Declan O'Keefe once again was heroic for Kerry. Eamon Fitzmaurice to Johnny Crowley, who's really getting into the game and winning the through ball. And playing a good ball through to Colin Cooper. Nice skill to keep that in play. And what will be the ruling of Brian White here? Well, it was a sideline ball. Oh, lovely turn. Now it's Kerry's chance to get the scores, and they do. Sean O'Sullivan, the scorer. He's making an impact this evening, Sean O'Sullivan. Well, the Kerry substitutions are shrewd, and one of them, Sean O'Sullivan, gets a lovely score as Cork are left to rue their penalty miss. Well, another big moment for Cork. They bring in Diarmuid O'Sullivan in the hope that his power and that his noted determination may make things happen around Colin Cork. First touch for Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Good ball for Fionn Murray. Snapped it low, near to the ground. Goes for a score. That's a very good point. That's one of the points of the day by Fionn Murray. And Cork will have noted that the pass came from Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Now the low ball suited Murray. He had the pace to take on Mark O'Shea and to get the point. Seamus Moynihan to Darragh O'Shea. Johnny Crowley. Now it's Kerry's turn to go looking for a score. And it's Kerry who need a score. Oh, and that's a great ball in. Now Mike Frank Russell, no better man to look to in a moment of looming crisis. And he has the skill, of course, off either foot to kick his points from any angle. 10 minutes to go, plus time for stoppages, whatever Brian White will add on. Now referee Brian White has decided to physically sort this out himself. And the Cork substitute, Jim O'Donoghue, is the man spoken to. Well, after the referee took Jim O'Donoghue away, you saw what happened. Now, great chance. It's driven in. Noel Kennelly trying to squeeze it through. Good work by the goalkeeper, Kevin O'Dwyer. Noel Kennelly coming through off his left foot, but there were two defenders and the goalkeeper between him and the net. Ronan McCarthy to Graham Canty. To Joe Kavanagh. Looking for Colin Corkery. Knocked away by Michael McCarthy. On to Brendan O'Sullivan in front of the goal. A point would do Cork. He's got it. Brendan O'Sullivan. It wasn't an easy chance. There was pressure being applied. Brendan O'Sullivan went for the point. For a 3-point lead. He's got it. Knocked down. Diarmuid O'Sullivan involved again. Pace here from Brendan and good finishing. Graham Canty again. He's had a wonderful game for Cork. Joe Kavanagh, Martin Cronin, Ronan McCarthy. Joe Kavanagh down the line for Fionn Murray. Good control, good pickup. Looking for Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Colin Corkery peels away. Falls to Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Another score on the way. The hurling star is a football star too on Lee's side. Well, Diarmuid O'Sullivan just wanted one moment like this to show that he's arrived on the football scene. Well, the thousands of Cork and Kerry supporters who stayed away are missing some great action here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Fionn Murray against Mark O'Shea. Murray getting inside his man. Bit cheeky, and it's gone wide. Well, Mark O'Shea did so well against Fionn Murray early on in the game, but Murray now is getting quality ball. Well, 4 points is the deficit that teams in football hate, because it takes 2 scores just to get level. Graham Canty going forward again to Colin Corkery. Now off his left, judging it beautifully. That's a magnificent score by this superb footballer, Colin Corkery, the Cork captain. Now once again, as so often this evening, Graham Canty involved. And Colin Corkery with the confidence to go for it from there. Noel Kennelly for Kerry. looking for Mike Frank Russell. With the turn, and it's gone wide. It's seldom he misses. But we're in injury time. It hasn't gone for Kerry in the last 15-20 minutes or so. And certainly here, it hasn't gone for Michael Francis Russell, despite his best efforts. Noel Kennelly with the quick free to Michael Francis Russell and to Seamus Moynihan against Ronan McCarthy and Dar O'Shea with what can only really be a consolation point for the Kerry captain and his team. Well, game to the end, Kerry, but we're 2.5 minutes into time added on. The final whistle is coming ever nearer. There's 4 points in it. They're playing away. To Seamus Moynihan. Kerry come looking for another score. Colin Cooper opts to take the point, and that reduces it to a goal. So just one score left. Could it be done? No, it's all over. Cork are the winners. 15 points to 1-9. A 3-point win on Leeside.
Yeah, it has been a very hard week, particularly for the three lads and for Paddy. And you know, I suppose the result on top of that was disappointing. But the lads were very, very focused, and Dara being captain, like, tried to get us all focused in on the game. You know, and nothing else mattered to him today. You know, he said himself, they're going to deal with that privately themselves. You know, and it's an issue for them. It's a very sad week, and I suppose it's just compounds it.
I know it's like myself, and I lost my mother 12 months ago to this day. So. But it was supposedly emotionally for them. It was very, very difficult. I would have hoped like that the game might have been a bit later in the week and put off for a few more days to give them a chance. But I suppose there's never an easy way when some things like that happen. But you know, the man himself, like Mike O'Shea, he can be very, very proud of his sons. They've been outstanding ambassadors to Kerry football, and you know, and I had the pleasure of meeting them on a few occasions. But a real Kerry man and a real traditional football man, a great man.
All right, I was disappointed enough not to start, but that's the break. It was a bit, you know. But once I got in the ball, I could see the green flag. But I said if I missed, there'd been a lot of questions, so I just decided for the easy option.
Young men think they're great drivers. Therefore, drive too fast to cope with the unexpected. Slow down, boys.
From the National Safety Council, supported by AXA Insurance.
Check it twice. Been over the circuits.
Need a hand!
Gown, the power of purity.
Why just use Febreze on the dog bed? After all, lots of everyday odours aren't as obvious. At least to you. Clean away odours all over the house. And Febreze will leave a freshness you'll notice.
Smells nice in here.
The more you use it, the more you love it. Febreze.
Jacob's new cracker range has changed the rules for eating with friends. Lightly salted Italian crackers. olive oil and oregano Italian crackers. The cracker selection. Jacob's new cracker range. Don't make a meal of it.
And all the action seems to be at one end, but it's a pizza of two halves.
4-star pizza. Just call us. We'll come to you. In Mozambique, the Inaminga tribe believe that if a man is skillful enough to capture a lock of a lion's mane, then his own hair will grow back. The men stalk the lion with great stealth and exceptional precision. There are many myths about treating hair loss, but for a proven way to keep your hair in 4 out of 5 cases, get Regain.
Every year in Sweden, they use more than 3,000 tons of ice to create the world's most original hotel. Last year in Ireland, people used about the same amount to create an original of their own. The original pint bottle from Bulmers. Time dedicated to you.
Nor Pastoria, peculiarly Italian.
Hollywood's biggest bully is going down.
You really think it's gonna work?
It's payback time.
Frankie Muniz, big fat liar.
Welcome back again to the Sunday game. So then Cork winning this Munster Championship semi-final replay and now facing Tipperary in the Munster final. Pat Spillane, when I was talking to you last night over those 10 bottles of Lucozade that we had, you weren't that confident about Kerry's chances today and about the whole setup.
No, I wasn't. It was always a very difficult game to preview given the circumstances of the tragic death during the week of Mike O'Shea. I think I would question the wisdom of the Munster Council in fixing a game for today. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. It could have been played midweek. At the very worst, it could have been played next Sunday in Fitzgerald Stadium in Killarney. It was played in a very surreal atmosphere. There's no analysis required. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this game out. Even Joe would nearly be able to analyse it. By the team who were up for it, which was Cork, easily deserving of winners. Kerry weren't up for it. They weren't at the races today. There's no ifs, there's no buts about it at all. But it was played in a very, very surreal type atmosphere. Of the crowd, I know what the actual attendance was, but 80 to 90% of them were Cork people.
Yes.
Kerry people just didn't travel to today's game. I think perhaps the edge was gone out of the game in one sense because there was a handy safety net. It was Wicklow in the next round, which, with all due respects, Kerry should be beating them. So it was, like I said, Cork deserved it. It's an old cliche, hunger. They were the hungrier, sharper team. They dominated in all sectors. But it was a dull type of game. It wasn't your typical Kerry-Cork clash. It hadn't the intensity of Offaly Kildare last night. I thought it was played for long spells at National League pace, but the best team won, undoubtedly.
You picked out a few clips just to illustrate where Cork actually were the strongest in this game.
Well, it's easy enough to figure out. Like I said, they were hungry, sharp, they dominated defensively. Watch this for defence. This was Cockby. We're looking at the scores here. Colin Cockby, who was tremendous today again, scored with left, scored with right foot. Finan Murray played very well. Nice jinking run, 35 yards over the bar. Their scores were magnificent, and here another one, we highlighted a second one from Murray, again 40 yards out. He's a bit of a head case at times, but he's a very, very intelligent, very, very talented footballer. Cockry again was quite superb today. And he was superb in a different type of role. He didn't play as a target man today. He played out around the middle of the field a lot of time and sprayed superb passes in. They had a two-man full forward line, Murray and Clifford, and they were roasting the Kerry full back line at times. So a tremendous performance by Cork.
Joe, you were impressed by this performance as well.
It was an excellent performance. You know, as Pat says is right. I mean, they out-battled Kerry from start to finish. I mean, even Philip Clifford, Finan Murray, players they were always in front of their man. Their defence was really outstanding. Owen Sexton was magnificent. Anthony Lynch had a peerless game. Kieran O'Sullivan as well. And, I mean, all over the park, Kerry had nothing at all. I mean, up front, only Mike Frank Russell looked like any threat at all, and even he was snuffed out. Seamus Moynihan and Darragh O'Shea tried hard in the middle of the field, but Cork were just out-harrying them.
And they actually could have scored more, Pat.
Look, I picked out another clip. I mean, Cork had a penalty chance and 4 goal-scoring chances. That's 5 goals. They should have scored, probably could have scored 5 goals. And we looked at them here. I mean, they were roasting the Kerry full back line. Good save by Declan O'Keefe here, but I think Fionn Murray will have been disappointed with his effort. He should have scored. Again, same thing. He eventually rounds Mark O'Shea, and we'll see a good save coming up, but I think he should have put it away. A good save by O'Keefe. But that was 2 one-on-one goal chances. Should have been a goal. Another one here, where Philip Clifford went through, left Mike McCarthy for dead and blazed the ball miles wide. 3rd goal scoring chance. And again we'll see one other, we'll just look at the penalty here, which was definitely a penalty. Good save. Alan Cronin should have followed up. So I mean, we can clearly see Clifford's missed 2 goal scoring chances. Fionn Murray missed 2 goal scoring chances. Colin Cochrane missed a penalty. That's 5. The game should have been over at half-time, and the only reason it wasn't over at by half-time or even the middle was Cork's inability to put Kerry away, because if Kerry had won it, it would have been totally against all the odds, because they weren't at the race. It was just a very flat, damp performance, and a well-deserved victory for Cork.
OK, that's Cork and Kerry dealt with here on the programme then, but next here on the Sunday Game, we come to our weekly competition. Now you might pick yourself up a mobile phone with €1,500 worth of call credit, or perhaps you and a partner will be going to the Vodafone GEA All-Stars banquet later in the year. Now, the results of last week's competition in a little while, but first to this week's. Now the man you're about to see was one of the great Mayo players of recent times, part of the team which came so close to realising All-Ireland success at the end of the 80s.
We had some good days, and we had some days probably that we wouldn't want to remember, but I suppose the 80s really was the best time for us, because we won 5 kind of championships in the 80s, and even though it took 5-6 years to get to an All-Ireland final, we won in 81, we won in 85, we won in 88, we won in 89 and 90. So the 80s were a good spell for us, and we enjoyed some great games. The All-Ireland semi-final against Tyrone in 89, I remember going out for a ball and one of the Tyrone players I slipped and his knee hit off my head, so I ended up getting a few rush stitches on the sideline. So I didn't really know what was on my head, but it was described as a lot of different things afterwards. But I was just looking at the television the other day, and I seen one of the Italy players wearing something pretty much similar to that, but mine didn't stay on as long as his. The All-Ireland final is a big occasion, and it's any young footballer's dream. When you start off for your county, you like to end up playing an All-Ireland final, you like to win an All-Ireland final. We were fortunate enough to get to one, but unfortunately we didn't win it. Luckily for me, we kept plugging away and we got there, and it's a fabulous occasion.
So that's our featured personality for this week. But who was that Mayo player who lined out for his county in the 1989 final? Was it A, Willie Joe Padden, B, Tommy Joe Padden, or C, Paddy Joe Padden? So phone your choice please to one of these numbers from the Republic. It's 1550 717189. The calls cost 74 cents per minute. If you're calling from the north, it's 0905 062 0011. Those calls cost 60 pence per minute, and the lines are open until midday on Friday. Well, now last week the correct answer was Tom Spillane, the All-Ireland winning brother of Pat and Mick, who of course also won All-Ireland medals. First name up on the computer and winner of the mobile phone and €1,500 of call credit was Anna McCall from Miltown Malbay, County Clare. So congratulations to Anna. And the winner of that invitation for 2 to the Vodafone GEA All-Stars banquet in November is Liam Foley from Athboy, County Meath. So we'll see you there, Liam, please God, and well done to you. And next here on the programme, we're going to head west for that meeting of Mayo and Roscommon in Castlebar. Both sides beaten in the Connacht Championship by the All-Ireland champions Galway. But the summer far from over for the team who'd emerge with a win from McHale Park this afternoon. We joined the game early in the first half. It's 1 point apiece, and the commentary is by Marty Morrissey.
James Gill under pressure. Aidan Higgins flicks it on as David Tiernan from county champions Charlestown. Back outside to Gill. Very good score. Mayo lead for the first time. Well balanced player Beautiful kicker of a ball and accurate. Giving it in towards the corner. Nigel Dineen trying to flick it back as Conor Kennelly. Crossfield ball is aimed at Jerry Lohan, gathered superbly. Mayo defence cut open here. Jonathan Dunning brilliantly blocked once, and Dineen gets the touch. Well, they did score 2 goals and 11 points between them against Waterford. They certainly performed brilliantly in the league. First, it was Gary Ruan that blocked it. The ball came free. Nigel Dineen was waiting for it here. Came in after the ball, no question, and tapped it in. Aidan Higgins. Back outside to Brian Maloney. Picks it confidently and sends it over the bar. Much better. Under 21 full forward last year. They contested the All-Ireland final. Made his debut against Galway. And I think young Maloney is showing good potential here. More direct ball paying off. Jerry Lohan bringing Andrew McPadden into the game. Easily cut out. Ray Kennelly. Mayo using the winds this time. That's a good ball. It's a day Shane Kern is way off his line and it hops off the white flag. And sometimes goalkeepers are far better off to stay on their line.
You mentioned earlier about the goalkeeper giving the defence confidence. I think that time the goalkeeper gave the defence a heart attack. Came out way out in no man's land, and again a wrong bounce. Went the wrong way of the post from a Mayo point of view, but very, very lucky let up for Roscommon.
Well intercepted by James Nalla. Alan Roach. That's a good ball. In towards Brian Maloney. Great block down by Martin Raftery. Maloney has the rebound. And Maloney has the score. Great determination by Brian Maloney. Seamus O'Neill has the support of Jerry Lohan. It's a very simple game, and Roscommon are showing that they can play it so simply. In fact, kick out, well caught, little bit of movement, simple pass, good score. Martin Raftery gets it down towards Jonathan Dunning. Fouled by Ray Kennelly. Free to Roscommon. Jerry Lohan. Oh, inside is Nigel Dineen going for his second goal. Simple, direct football. Have an opportunist like Dineen at the end of it, and you get that sort of a score on the stroke of half-time. Look at the Mayo defenders, all going up, no calling. Dineen was inside, looking around. He did very well here to beat Cork, who was left stranded, and Roscommon have 2 goals and 3 points on the scoreboard. Fine catch by Seamus O'Neill. Gives it outside to David Casey. Saw him play at midfield in the league and in the championship match against Galway. Arriving rather late was Nigel Dineen. Uses Gary Cox. Dineen still available out this side. Dineen challenged, hit by Alan Roach as he was kicking the ball, and that's a very good score under severe pressure. 2 goals and a point for the corner forward. Seamus O'Neill trying to get a touch ahead of David Brady. Good anticipation by Andrew McPadden. Picked up by Brady. There are options, and one of them was James Horn. Brady, however, went solo and sent it over the bar. As Brady latched onto the loose ball, he had options to the left and indeed to the right. James Horn was totally unmarked inside, but he went for the score. Nigel Dineen. Good defending by David Heaney. Has to go back. The challenge on the Roscommon man was an illegal one. Important kick for Nigel Dineen. And again, the white flag will be raised. Out of 2 goals and 8 points, Nigel Dineen has contributed 2 goals and 4. Gary Ruat. High challenge again by Alan Nolan, but the referee says play on. Great run by the corner back. Brian Maloney. Goes back fires David Tiernan, and that is over the bar. For his work rate alone, Tiernan deserves to score. David Brady. Good run. Trevor Mortimer makes a dash. Survives the challenge from Alan Nolan, and Mortimer sends it over the bar. Very much come into his own in the second half. James Horton again, laying it off for James Gill. There's a chance here of a goal to finish it off. The Mortimer brothers, 1 jig, 2 jig, and it's gone way wide. Just look at this. Conor Mortimer, 1 against 1. Shane Kern took the option of diving, empty net, ball wide. But it didn't matter. What matters most is that Mayo scored 20 points in McHale Park in Castlebar and go through to the next round of the qualifiers. Mayo stay in the championship. Mayo 20 points, Roscommon 2 goals and 8.
James, what's your assessment of the game?
Oh, it's good to win. It's good to win championship games. We were very happy with our work rate. We were disappointed with the way we gave away 2 relatively easy goals, but overall content to get through to the next round.
What's it like to be out there in the championship?
It's fantastic. It's a great way to start off, play the All-Ireland champions in the first game and the Connacht champions in the second game. So you couldn't ask to be thrown in the deeper end, no better. So I'm delighted to be out there, stuck in the middle of it.
It looked very physical out there. What was it actually like to play in?
The intensity was high. Roscommon were up for this game as well. You know, championship games, it's all about on the day. The last day for us and for Roscommon, you get our jail-free card. But after you lose the first one, it's back to championship format.
Do you think Mayo will go ahead now and continue to improve in the championship?
Well, I hope so. We have to wait and see who we'll get in the next draw. I think that's next weekend. So you can only take 1 game at a time. We won't get carried away with today to score 20 points or something, but we're not ones to get carried away because you don't know what will happen next day. But we'll work hard for the next week and then take it from there.
Joe Brawley, 20 points in the score of the match from Mayo. They obviously learned their lesson from the Galway game.
Well, you know, they scored a string of points, and really, I think that they could have won the match by a lot more. They missed 2 or 3 clear goal chances, and it was a very impressive display, really. Their full back line was very good. Ray Keneally, very sound. Tom Nallen, excellent. Their half back line was totally on top. In fairness, it's hard to analyse the match in the sense that they really pasted Roscommon, and it could have been a lot worse if it hadn't been for Nigel Dineen's opportunism, because completely against the run of play. You know, the classic poacher, he got inside the defence and scored 2 goals to keep Roscommon in the hunt at half-time. But Roscommon were very spiritless and inept and indisciplined and disorganised, and they were really awful. I mean, even in the middle of the field where you would have expected them to break even with 2 huge men, David Tiernan was head and shoulders above them, and he controlled the game. And he's a big breakthrough for Mayo because he's 2-footed and he gives great ball into the forwards, and he had an excellent match today.
Okay, well, next here on the programme, in relation to that game, we come to our man of the match selection from Castlebar. Yes, it was your telephone votes that decided the issue, but before we tell you who that was, a look first at what the Sunday game experts thought. Now, as far as they were concerned, the choice was between these 3 players, James Nallen and David Tiernan of Mayo, and Nigel Dineen of Roscommon. Well, as the votes were being cast, it was clear it was coming down to this combination. Now, you were divided between Nigel Dineen and David Tiernan. But in truth, the vast majority of the callers opted for the man the experts had nominated, David Tiernan, Mayo's midfielder. And the Charlestown man put in a very fine display around the centre of the field all afternoon for Mayo, establishing a platform that took his side on for victory. And Joe Brolly, I don't think there was too much doubt about that, really.
No, he had an excellent match. He's extremely composed, which is something that Mayo have lacked. He's two-footed, he plays great ball. He's a very honest, hard-working player, and he's got all the skills that I can see. Mayo are very sound all round. They're a very difficult team to play against. They should have beaten Galway the last day. The thing that's going to prevent them from making that final push is that they still don't have, even though Gill played very well today and the Mortimers can be very lively, Maloney had a good match, they don't have a really class forward like a Garrity or a Joyce, someone like that, or an Enda Muldoon. If they had that, I mean, that would be the final piece in the jigsaw.
But the thing about Spillane is, Mayo played very well today. They played well against Galway the last day as well. They will take beating in the championship.
They will indeed. I mean, Mayo to score 20 points today, all their 6 forwards scored. The Dublin forwards to give them the meat defence of roasting. I mean, it's bizarre, you know.
Sure.
I mean, Elvis is going to turn up in the studio now and do the analysis, you know. But credit to, I mean, 20 points is great scoring. Like I said, all 6 forwards scored. And fair play to them, we've criticised them over years upon years upon years, and particularly the last day against Galway, where they failed to take responsibility, have a shot at goal. They stuck to their task today, took on, kicked some magnificent points. Well deserved, but look, this was a Roscommon team that conceded 3-11 against Waterford, so I wouldn't get carried away, but they'll be a tough nut to crack. You're right, Michael.
Thanks, Pat. At this point, we take a commercial break. Still to come here on the Sunday game is Dublin and Meath, the Leinster Football Championship, a roundup of the weekend's other matches, and Croke Park. Then and now, the changing face of headquarters. Stay with us.
This is the amount of work a removals man needs to do to afford a McDonald's cheeseburger. Cheeseburger just €1 from our Eurosaver menu.
Now with Speakeasy, you can top up at ATMs, at the shops, online, and even on your mobile. See what you can do. O2.
Hi, Debbie. Here we go, boogie boogie.
I'd love to, but I've just sat down to dinner.
New Dolmio microwavable pasta and sauces. Proper food, pronto.
Take a close look at this pain-beating formula. New paracetamol tablets from the makers of Disprin. Fast-track pain relief.
What's wrong?
Can't focus, bad headache.
We don't have time for that. Here, take this.
Water?
Don't need it.
Disprin Direct can get to work on pain fast, in 5 minutes, due to its rapid absorption system, and there's no need for water.
How are you doing?
Headache's better.
Let's go, we can still make it.
See? Told you it'd only take 5 minutes.
Just in time for the airport then.
Disprin Direct.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to cordially invite you
to enjoy the pleasures of Britain.
Savour a cup of tea.
Visit a historic house.
Have a spot of lunch at the King's Head. We could meet up in Trafalgar Square. Take a walk in the country. Or indulge yourself in our sporting traditions. To find great offers, go to britain2002.info. For offers you may never see again. Do come.
It's time for Ireland to wake up if they're going to make anything of this. Yes, it's a long ball that goes down their feet. It's crossed over. Beautiful interception and it's there! Yes! Oh, beautiful! Right on target!
Heineken, the last word in beer.
And you're welcome back again to the final part of the Sunday game for tonight. Well, Croke Park opened its doors again this afternoon after the demolition of the old Hogan stand and the laying of the new pitch. Well, the redevelopment of the stadium has, of course, been a huge undertaking for the past few years. But now Jones's Road is very much shaping up into the super stadium that those with the original dream had hoped for when they sat down and drew up their plans.
Well, it was a very young GAA way back in 1896 when the GAA, as I said, they were just starting off after being founded in 1884. They decided to rent land that was here in off the Clondiff Road, and it was called a sports field where they had sports athletic meetings, and they also had whippet racing as well in the ground. But the man who owned the ground, the Butterleys, they went into difficulties regards money, and it was decided that they would auction that particular piece of land. There was 14 acres, 27 perches of land there. The GAA at the time had no money, so they couldn't buy it. But in stepped a Limerick man, Frank Deneen, and he was a sports journalist who wrote for the Freeman's Journal. And he bought the land for £3,000 with the intention of handing it over to the GAA when they had got the money to pay him back. Now the GAA, as I said, had to run off a lot of tournaments, so they had the Croke Memorial Tournament, and they invited Kerry and Louth to play in that particular, and the first match was a draw. The replay bought 50 or 40,000 to that particular bit of ground to watch the replay, and that was the start of the GAA eventually getting the money. But in the meantime, the bank came down on Frank Deneen, because having paid £3,000, borrowed the £3,000 from the bank, they wanted some of the money back. So Frank Deneen was in a bit of a cleft stick, because he decided that in order to get some money for the bank, he would sell 4 acres to the Jesuit fathers who then ran Belvedere College. And they paid £1,091 for the 4 acres of land. Ironically, in 1991, when the GAA started to build the new Cusick stand, they had to buy back the 4 acres of land that the Belvedere College had got. And it cost them, I can assure you, an astronomical figure. After the rebellion in 1916, the contractors who were cleaning out all the rubble from O'Connell Street were allowed to dump all the rubble up on the hill, which was then known, it wasn't then, but it was Hill 16, and that's how Hill 16 got its name, that the rubble from the O'Connell Street, where all the buildings were destroyed, was dumped over there, and that helped the GAA to put the embankment in all around the ground.
With increased capacity, the crowds got bigger. But in November 1920, the Black and Tan stormed a football match between Dublin and Tipperary, killing 14 people. Among them, a Tipperary footballer named Michael Hogan. His name forever enshrined in GAA history with the building of the Hogan stand. The building of the Cusick stand in the late 30s offered a more permanent home to supporters than before.
The first time I was in Croke Park watching the game was the All-Ireland semi-finals in 1955, which I think both ended up in a draw. And it was the same year when Kerry beat Dublin in the famous 1955 All-Ireland final. I was up there on the hill watching the game. As far as I can remember, there in my earliest days in Croke Park. I grew up in the hill as a kid going to watch Dublin as a nipper. But in the 70s, when you come out in the field and you have the sea of blue down to your right, it gave the team a great boost, a great lift. But the amazing thing about it was that once the game started, you forgot about it. The game was over.
Jack Cosgrove doesn't hold this one. Jimmy Keatley down. And Jimmy makes it 3 points.
My happiest memory, I think, would have been when we won our first All-Ireland in '74 when we beat Galway here. And the reason being that, like, we've been there for 8, 9, 10 years. Like, Paddy Curran, Gale Driscoll, Sean Doherty, Tony Hanover, we were all there. We've gone through a career really and won nothing of importance. But to me the 74 final was the highest point of my career. A lot of lads say the 76 one against Kerry, or the 77 semi-final against Kerry, but I think the one against Galway was my biggest thrill here in Croke Park.
And the barefooted wonder with the ball now.
And it must be, it is, it's a goal!
That's our life, that's what we catch a hurley in our hand when we're 4 or 5 years of age, and that's our dream. Certainly it was my dream. You don't train to win a first round in Munster, in Cork, or in Limerick, or in Ennis or Thurles. You really play to end the climax of one's playing year in Croke Park. When you think of rural Ireland in particular in those days, and you think of sport, like, there was no hype with soccer, there was no hype with rugby. So, like, playing hurling and winning in All-Ireland in a county like Tipperary, that was the religion.
And here Jimmy Doyle, one of Tipperary's younger veterans, scores a point from play.
Jimmy Doyle was the hero to me. And from my own area then, you see, T.O. English was the man that carried the can in South Tipperary, because we were poor in hurling terms in South Tipperary. So T.O. was the man that kind of led the scene for those of us that wanted to strive to be hurlers from that part of the county. But as I said, Jimmy Doyle was one of the greats. His skill and style will never be matched.
1959 saw Europe's most modern stand come on stream as the new Hogan further increased Croke Park's capacity. Not that everyone could be satisfied, of course. No change there. The popularity of the games ensured thousands descended on the capital from all corners of Ireland for match day. Long queues down Jones's Road became the norm, dressed in their Sunday best and ready for the big heave. The Dubs, of course, had Hill 16, which in the late 1980s was the first relic in the ground to be overhauled. Times were demanding a complete regeneration, and the GAA decided to appoint a man who could deliver a new, improved Croke Park.
I suppose the biggest challenge we had was to convince our own members that it was necessary. We were in a situation where the current stadium was deteriorating quite rapidly, where the new regulations would have meant that our capacity would have been reduced to certainly well below 60,000, maybe below 50,000 eventually. And we really had no choice but persuading our own members that what they saw as their national stadium and the jewel in the crown was not good enough for the 21st century or even for the later years of the 20th century. The support that we got nationally, the support that we got from corporate Ireland in the form of their taking boxes and premium seats, and the support that we got from the government, although some of the government support came rather later, came in phase 3 rather than in phase 2, but nevertheless all of those were contributory factors in our accelerating the programme. And the programme accelerated from a 15-year programme to a programme 15 plus years. We had considered the possibility that it might be a 20-year programme, but certainly it was going to be 15 years at least. And the outturn is going to be that it's probably going to be a 12, 13-year programme.
One of the features of the new Croke Park is the fact that it's much larger than the previous Croke Park. It's 2 to 3 metres longer, it's substantially wider at 7 metres, and we have longer run-off spaces for safety reasons for the players should they overrun the touchline. If you look at the roof here, you will notice that the proportion of solid to transparent, solid to void, changes as we go from east through south through southwest. And the reason for that is that, of course, those long afternoon shadows that are cast by the sun, particularly by the September sun, the increase of transparency simply is to reduce the shadow and therefore reduce the contrast between being under the shade of the stand and being out in the open, which has an effect on the player's perception. It also, of course, has the advantage that it allows sunlight and daylight onto the pitch, which is healthy for the grass. Okay, I'm going to walk now to the very point which is the end of the old Croke Park. In other words, for people who have been in the old railway end, the very, very back wall of the railway end, and I'm going to stop precisely where that wall was, and it's just precisely at this point here. This is where the old canal end stopped, and this, in fact, is the boundary of GAA property. Now, everything you see from behind me and above me, the remainder of this tier, the intermediate tiers, the top tiers and the roof have all been built in the air outside the boundary of Old Croke Park.
The real showcase will be the pitch. This is our £2 million investment. We've taken the best of consultancy and looked at many different stadiums as to what's the best surface to put down.
The system that's now installed is suitable to cater for any sort of rainfall. An extension of the drainage system, there is also an incorporated air system which works on a vacuum via a fan below the south stand. So that can suck literally any amount of water off during the course of a day. Now what you're seeing there is a plastic polypropylene string. It's stitched in by specialist machines. There is a string stitched within the surface at every 1.9 centimetre or 19 millimetres. There is 100 million linear metres of string within the pitch surface when it's completed. The surface will be absolutely 100% divot free.
It's a very, very modern surface there. There's going to be a lot of care that'll have to go into this one. I was only used to walking with humps and bumps, but as I said, I'm looking forward now to the experience of this. Like there's but from next year on now there's specialised courses in this type of a pitch, and that's something we'll be looking into. So hopefully now next year I'll be offering courses on it for to be upgraded, as they'd say.
The new Croke Park is special. The finished touch it's immaculate.
When I look at now and see what they have achieved, it's only remarkable, and I'm gobsmacked.
It's a magnificent stadium. I'd love to be able to come out and now looking around it, it's just incredible. It's probably one of the finest stadiums in the world.
Well, no better game to relaunch the famous venue than the meeting of Dublin and Meath. Now, the venue may have been attractive, but the task for Dublin was a bit more down to earth, trying to halt a poor sequence of results against their old rivals in recent years. Well, Meath, on the other hand, hopeful the new venue might be kinder to them than their last visit when Galway turned them over in the All-Ireland final. The commentary is by Ger Canning.
Darren Holman tried to take this one in his stride. Good ball inside. Opportunities for Dublin, looking for the lead point. And they have got it. Virtually Dublin's first attack, and they go straight into the lead. Well, he's had his problems with injury in recent years, Collymore, and we've come to admire and respect his talents as a footballer. He looked composed, and he slotted it over beautifully. Hank Traynor has just got a ticking by referee Pat Baccanini. This to be taken by John McNally. John, one of two Ballantyre St. John's players, the other being his team captain, playing for Dublin today. Should be Cormac Sullivan. Ray Cosgrove. 15 minutes gone. It should have been the goalkeepers. It wasn't. A little hesitation. And that was enough for Ray Cosgrove from Kilmacud to come in and make it 1-1 to a point. Reverse angle of the goal here as this was floated in. Keeper was coming, but not decisively enough. Cosgrove scores. Darren Holman, he was down in Parnell Park last Saturday night cheering on the Dublin hurlers. They hadn't a lot to cheer about in the end, however. But let's see what the footballers can do. Alan Brogan against Mark O'Reilly. Great dummy. That is a simple point. Alan Brogan, shades of the dart. Terrific star in the 70s for Dublin. That will do his confidence no end of good, and he's made it 1-2 to a point. Broken down. fed ahead by Ray McGee. It was intended there for Donald Curtis. Couldn't quite take it, however. Barry Cahill. Bad pass. High knock that time to the face of Graham Geraghty. And he kicks a beautiful point. He was fouled just before he hit that ball. It's his first point. Strongly built full forward. Referee had noted it, gave the advantage. That was the foul. You saw it there.
That was a terrific score. It says a lot about his character. No feigning, no messing or anything like that.
Ollie Moran back down there. Once again, pressure on. Alan Brogan. Scored a very good point earlier on here. Collie Moran kicking, and Collie Moran has put it over the bar for his third point. And Paddy Reynolds really has got to stick to his defensive duties, and he's got to close down Moran. It comes back here to Richie Keeley once again. Terrible ball by Richie. Collie Moran belting it downfield. Going across there was John McNally. Here's Alan Brogan, one of the newcomers to the championship this season. That is excellent. So on the right-hand side of the Dublin attack, between Collie Moran and Alan Brogan, they've got 6 of those 7 points. Ray McGee. Play back into space neatly to Evan Kelly. Needs a bit of support. Dublin blocking well. Nigel Lester inside for Trevor Giles. Inside here for Evan Kelly. Oh dear. This was Trevor Giles in full flight. Meath expecting to get something, but they got absolutely nothing out of that attack. Stephen Cluxton. Broken down here well. Nigel Lester. Still in play, they decide. Great kick. That is a magnificent point. The midfield star here, Nigel Crawford, with his first point. And away come Meath once more. Nigel Lester and the other Nigel Crawford kicking, and it's over the bar. (110 to 11 points). This was the dark-haired Nigel Lester who came in here, had support, kicked beautifully. Johnny McGee kicking it way down. Good forward play. Ray Cosgrove. It's still there. Cormac Sullivan coming, gathering, and is it in? Is it going to count? Meath are protesting. Shades of a certain Colm O'Rourke goal some years ago. Was he in the square? The referee has gone in for a look. The referee seems satisfied. The goal counts.
Yeah, I think it should count from what I saw, but it looked like as if it was a legitimate goal.
Ray Cosgrove with his second goal. A real fumble. Dublin's first victory against Meath since they won the All-Ireland last, which was 1995. They've met in every championships since then, bar 1 year. And Meath victors on each occasion. But today, Dublin are relishing it. Johnny McGee boots it into the crowd. Absolute sheer delight. It's been a great day for Dublin. So there it is. It's Dublin versus Kildare in this year's Bank of Ireland Leinster football final. The fans have gone home happy as Dublin have won by 2-11 to 10 points.
He scored 2 fisted goals. What do you remember about them? The first one I think was a free from Johnny McNally. He floated it in, and I sneaked in behind Darren Fay and Cormac just kind of left it, so I just went and attacked it. The goal was wide open, that's all I can remember from it. And then the second one, I think I won possession later off to Alan Brogan. Alan had a cut, you know, and it just dropped short, and I just kept running and just got underneath it, and myself and Cormac went up for it. You know, it fell at my, you know, it fell for me, and it just went in. So absolutely delighted.
It's my first time in Croke Park managing a Dublin team, and you know the hill is good, but when you're down on the touchline, do you realise, I mean, in the last 15 minutes, I thought the hill really came behind the team and were really drawing the last breath out of the lads, and you know, they were just wonderful out there. It's my first time on the line. I never realised, you know, when you're in the crowd, you never realise the intensity of this, and it was just fantastic. And we're hoping now that more and more Dublin people will swap the Ireland flags for the blue of Dublin, and maybe start wearing those around their cars, because we're going to start an old cause here.
I never thought we were getting well back into the game. You know, sort of, they got a second goal, which should have been a free out. Maybe who was at the match knows that, but it should have been a free out, and it wasn't a free out. But we don't referee matches, and that's the way it is. You've got to take the rough with the smooth, and that's the way it is.
Does this mean that he won't be involved in the Sunday game panel between here and September?
Oh, well, I mean, Bernard Flynn was given out to me there a few weeks ago, so, you know, I suppose that maybe I'll have to take Bernard's advice, but who knows? You know, I think you're well able to do every job, and sure, not all night in there with Spillane is a bit of fun anyhow. You don't have to say too much anyhow, sure, he does all the talking.
Well, Tommy's usually not stuck for a few words himself, mind you. That, however, was the kind of performance that Tommy was looking for from his players this afternoon. Dublin and Kildare for the Leinster final. Book your tickets right now. Joe Brawley, you were just making a point a second ago there that's very valid. That's the first time that those Dublin players, with the exception of Jesse Farley, came on as a sub, have beaten Meath in the championship, that present team.
That's right, and I think the difference this year is that Tommy Lyons has brought what we expected him to bring, enthusiasm. He has transmitted confidence to the team, and today in the first half you saw Dublin forwards playing with cockiness and with their chests out. You know, players like Alan Brogan, very youthful, two-footed. I mean, Moran was excellent today, and he's been very quiet and lacking in confidence sometimes in the past.
Yep.
I mean, Brogan, I mean, when you're two-footed as a forward, here he is dummying with the right, shooting with the left. He could do it the other way around. Moran again in the first half. Actually, he should have picked out the young McNally inside for the goal there. But in general, their play in the first half was excellent. And then, just when we thought they were going to fly past Meath, they froze. For 23 minutes of the second half, they froze with the winning post in sight, and they started skying horrific wides. And they simply lost their way. Ray
Cosgrove disallowed as Sean Boylan said?
No, it was a great goal, and he was extremely brave because he couldn't see what was happening. The keeper could have absolutely mailed him, and he came in. I mean, it was a second goal that he scored. They played with great zest and confidence, and I think that the most important thing for that Dublin team today was to win that game, because they are so useful. It was a massive occasion for them. I mean, Meath were flat, but that doesn't matter. They've beaten Meath now, and they can certainly go on. And Lyons creates in a team what he did with Offaly, and he's got better players here than he had with Offaly. He creates a sense of mission, and you can see he's good in front of the mic. He's a perfect ambassador. The Hill love him, and I mean, I said at the start of the year that I thought that Dublin were a dark horse to go in and win in All-Ireland, and I mean, they're not by any means the finished article, but they're very good.
It's also important that you defend the game well when you don't have the ball.
Yeah.
They did that very impressively today.
One of the key features of their performance today, which separated them from their performances over the last 3 or 4 years, was the discipline in defence and the discipline tackling. I mean, they harried Meath all over the park. They didn't foul, which was a key feature. I mean, I expected Dublin to give away stupid fouls once Meath made the big charge and came back to close the gap to 3 points. Look at this sequence of tackling. I think it lasts 27 seconds. They're swarming around like bumblebees. They never once foul. The hand is in and then it's out again. They're showing the referee that they're not tackling. Look at how many Dublin players are back. Look at the pace of it. Meath just have nowhere to go. I mean, and forward after forward gets it. He gives a 1 foot hand pass, and eventually it's blazed wide. And that was one of the most exciting features. I mean, obviously from the purist's point of view, you're not looking for defence, but I mean, that was the most exciting feature, and Tommy Lyons will be extremely satisfied at the way they snuffed out the Meath forward threat.
And Pat Spillane, I'm sure you would like a few brief words, as Tommy said.
I suppose you can roll out the humble pie, and we'll eat some of it today, because certainly Dublin were deserving winners. Excellent performance. Do you know what we ignored there is and it was mentioned in the clip on Croke Park, that the pitch is now 7 metres wider, 3 metres longer. Certainly it's an advantage to the forwards now. That was a mobile Dublin forward line, used the space well, and deserving winners, but like I said, it was a very flat performance, a very untypical performance by Meath.
Okay, well, that game was one of our live offerings this afternoon. That means we have a man of the match selection from that game. Now, your choice in just a moment, but first the expert view. Now, this is what they thought. Either Ray Cosgrove, Paddy Christie or Colin Moran for Dublin. Well, when the votes started to come in, Cosgrove, Moran and Alan Brogan were the players winning most of the votes. However, the player that topped the poll was Dublin's full forward, Ray Cosgrove. His 2 opportunist goals were absolutely vital for the Dubs, along with his 3 points. And so the Galway Irish Crystal Trophy will be heading southside to the Kilmacud Crokesman. Yeah, Joe Brawley, there were some good contenders in the Dublin team today.
Yes, Paddy Christie, who had an awful nightmare last year against John Crowley when he was played out of position. I mean, there's a huge difference between playing full-back and playing cornerback, and Tommy Lyons has restored him to full-back, which is his best position, and he played with outstanding authority today. He absolutely commanded the whole area. Graham Garrett is the most dangerous full-forward in the country on his day, and Graham Garrett, he played hard and well today, but Paddy Christie lorded him at the end of the day, and I thought made a huge contribution. Colin Moran was very good as well, and a player who has lacked confidence, but can be absolutely brilliant. He scored a goal against us in the Sevens tournament, the All-Ireland Sevens last year, and it was purely magical. I said it to him after the game, and a young forward, he's starting to find his feet. He could be an extremely exciting player.
Okay. Well, there was, of course, plenty of other championship action over the weekend. Some of it ended earlier than expected. Paul Burns and Robbie Irwin have this roundup.
These are the conditions that faced Leitrim and Tyrone as they took to the field in Carrick-on-Shannon last night for this second round All-Ireland qualifier. Heavy rain throughout the night and all afternoon had left the pitch in a very poor state indeed, with members of the Carrick-on-Shannon Fire Brigade doing their best to help matters. However, the match did go ahead, and it was Leitrim who made the best of it with the goal from James Houlihan after just 2 minutes. Stephen O'Neill did open Tyrone's account with a point, but with conditions getting worse as the game went on, Laois referee Eddie Whelan had no other option but to abandon the game after just 14 minutes play. Both managers agreed it had been the correct decision.
Well, I suppose when we came in, first of all, we thought that it was going to be very doubtful that it would go ahead. And then I suppose the fire brigade arrived and took the water off the pitch, and we felt right great, and we were up for it, and which was very important at the time as well. And then as the game wore on, you could see that it was terrible conditions, and I think the referee made the right decision in the end.
Well, it was inevitable, I suppose, once the rain started. The pitch, I thought, was playable just about at the start, but the referee, fair play to him, he made the right decision at the time, and it was a difficult enough decision because a lot of people there were very disappointed when the game was called off, but I think player safety had to be paramount in everyone's mind, or particularly in the referee's mind, and he made the right decision.
A crowd of over 6,000 spectators turned out in Cusack Park in Mullingar to see if the home team could emulate some of the promise they showed in last year's championship. There they were the surprise package, finally bowing out in the quarter-finals to Meath. But Fermanagh, under the guidance of Dominic Corrigan and with the influential Gallagher cousins on form, provided a scoring spree that ensured that Westmeath were constantly trying to chase the game. Rory Gallagher is no stranger to scoring sprees. Earlier in the championship he notched up 3-9 against Monaghan, and he gave Fermanagh the perfect start with this opening score. Not the opening Longford wanted. Jim Carney was in Mullingar on a winning night for Fermanagh.
So to JP Casey, a scoring ace for Westmeath this season. Nice ball through, low to Martin Flanagan, the way he likes it. Now Flanagan going for a score. Now the angle didn't really suit a right for the kicker, but it's a magnificent kick. Oh, that's beautifully judged, beautifully flighted by Martin Flanagan. What a score! Knocked down by David O'Shaughnessy, but only to Paul Green, who's playing in the middle of the field for Fermanagh since the start of the match. And incidentally, Rory Gallagher is being marked by Fergal Murray. And here's Raymond Gallagher going for a score. Raymond Gallagher. Oh, that's spectacular. If it's not Rory who's getting the big scores, it's Raymond. Fermanagh just playing so well, and Shane McDermott won a great ball there for Fermanagh to get it through to Raymond Gallagher. He's really on fire in this first half. That's a great strike again by Raymond Gallagher. He's kicked 3 wonderful points in this first half for a non-fire Fermanagh. Paul Green on the ball for Fermanagh. They're just playing around with it now. Neil Cox coming forward. And it's all Fermanagh now as we come up to half-time. Back to Rory Gallagher. Good turn, and off his left. Goes for another point. Rory Gallagher. It's over the bar to make it 9 points to 2. It's all Fermanagh now in Cusack Park. Paul Brewster. For Stephen Maguire, won by Westmeath, but it's won back and given to Raymond Gallagher. Great ball by Raymond Gallagher. Point, it's gone over the bar. Fermanagh stretched their lead, 11 points to 5. Westmeath now, as they were in the first half, in desperate need of scores. Fergal Wilson, he's playing well and he's won a free. J.P. Casey to take over the free-taking duties from the injured Fergal Wilson and to keep Westmeath in touch. Just about 12-7 now the Fermanagh lead. To John Kane attacking. To J.P. Casey, who's been out of it this evening. Desi Dolan to Ger Heban. Through. And even then Westmeath couldn't get a goal. But surely all over now for Westmeath. Good work by the Fermanagh defence and keeper.
A repeat of last year's All-Ireland qualifier. Laois were also hoping for a repeat result as they lined out in O'Moore Park, Portlaoise, against a Clare side who had only 6 days to recover from their Munster Championship defeat at the hands of Tipperary. Well, it showed, and the home side dominated from the beginning. This goal coming up after 5 minutes, all too reminiscent of a certain English goalkeeper who was caught unaware against the Brazilians on Friday. So 1-2 to no score in front. The home side continued to dominate with points from the boot of Greg Ramsbottom and Stephen Kelly. Kelly very impressive in that first half. However, they certainly weren't akin to a Brazilian performance and lost away towards the end of that first half, conceding this goal through Colin Mullen. And the Bannermen could have scored another just before the break, but a good save here by Fergal Byron. The second half continued much the same as the first. The Bannermen even failed to capitalise on a penalty awarded to them, proving that it's not only in the World Cup that penalty opportunities can go begging. Laois were by far the better side, and this score from Stephen Kelly sealed victory for the home side and a personal tally of 9 points for the influential corner forward. The final score in O'Moore Park, Laois 119, Clare 1-6.
If ever the old cliché of a game of two halves applied, it was for this round 2 qualifier in Pearse Park. Derry were clear favourites to advance at the expense of Longford, but it was the home side who took the game to the visitors. 2 early points gave Longford a head start, but 16 minutes in, Derry went ahead when Enda Muldoon's effort came back off the upright, and captain Anthony Toll showed why he was once a target for a number of Premiership clubs. A minute later, Longford captain Pádraig Davis brought them back into the game with a fine curling point. Derry now leading by just 1. And 2 minutes later, the sides were level when David Barden's shot just crept over Derry keeper Michael Conlon. 4 more Longford points gave them a 3-point lead at the break, during which the heavens opened with a monsoon-like deluge. But the tide was about to turn in Derry's favour, and 2 early frees brought them within a point. And 2 minutes into the second half, Fergal Crossan fisted over to level the game. Longford didn't score for 20 minutes of the second half, by which stage the game was gone. Anthony Toll scoring his second goal to give Derry a commanding lead. And they wrapped it up with this score from Dermot Dugan. The final score in Pearse Park, Derry 2-13, Longford 9 points.
So we now know more about the qualifying tournament. These are the outstanding matches left in the second round. Louth will face Meath, beaten by Dublin today. Limerick will play Offaly, who were beaten by Kildare last night. Wicklow will face Kerry, and Leitrim, of course, still have to play Tyrone. Now, already through to the third round of the qualifiers, the winners of the weekend's matches, Laois, Mayo, Fermanagh and Derry. And of course, we also know the provincial final pairings. In Leinster, it will be Dublin against Kildare, and in Munster, it will be Cork against Tipperary. You know, gentlemen, looking back at those matches, we've played a lot of football matches in the Championship this summer. We still have an awful lot of teams left in.
We have, I think we were about 17 or 18 teams we reckon still left in it. So, I mean, what we said about last week, I mean, with the qualifiers, it's going to make one hell of a quarter-final because all the big guns are going to have to clash, you know. So it's interesting days.
You would have been pleased enough, Joe Brolly, with the Derry performance?
Well, good, solid performance, and you know, Longford was a potential landmine for Derry, particularly after the Donegal match last week. But I think, you know, the Derry lads were upset with how things transpired last week, and we just had too much for them all around. Derry very quietly came through the qualifiers last year, and I would be delighted if we did the same thing this year.
Yeah, nice little win for Fermanagh as well.
It was indeed. I mean, maybe we read too much into that Meath performance against Westmeath. Meath we thought were very impressive against Westmeath, yet they only beat them by 4 points. Should have beaten them by more. Probably got a bit carried away by them. Now we know that Westmeath are but a pale shadow of the team we had last year. The qualifiers so far have been a major disappointment, poor attendance and whatever. And what is I find annoying about next week is some of the venues chosen again are a bit ridiculous. I mean, carrying Meath and Louth up the one road to Clonus into another province is just ridiculous. It'll affect the attendance, the revenue will be down. Kerry and Wicklow is at a neutral venue, probably Thurles or somewhere like that. That should be a home venue in Wicklow. I think the Wicklow county should get the benefit of the doubt, should get home advantage, and a full house with a great atmosphere. That's what you want in these qualifiers. We haven't had them yet to date.
There will be a difficult game for Meath now, not simply because, but also because they have to pick themselves up after today's match.
I mean, Meath were a bit like Kerry coming in. They've played Division 2 football all year. They've got no new talent coming in, you know, playing dead, lethargic type football and sneaking into Division 1. And that was the sort of football they played today. And playing Louth, who are arch rivals, it'll be a tough game. They're strong. They're two similar type teams, very experienced type teams, and gee, they'll get nothing soft there at all.
Yeah. Joe Brolly, overall from the qualifiers, what do you expect to come through?
Well, I mean, I think that it's going to be very difficult for Meath against Louth. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Louth took a big scalp there. Meath are hungover from the All-Ireland final experience last year. You know, I think it shattered their morale and their confidence. And they played really most of the game today without confidence, and you could see it through their ranks. A lot of their players, who we suspected were ordinary players playing above themselves, now look like ordinary players, and whenever their star players aren't sort of performing, they look very ordinary indeed, and I fear for them against Louth next week.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for that. Now, this day week, we're back again with more live championship action. Our featured matches come from Connacht and Munster. Yes, those are our two big games next weekend. It's Galway versus Sligo in the first game. That's followed by Tipperary against Waterford, and that is also a championship final. And a reminder too that Breaking Ball will preview the big matches of the weekend. That's at 7 o'clock on RTE1. Now, racing fans might like to watch out for a special programme during the week on Aidan O'Brien. A look at the life of this remarkable trainer who enjoyed, of course, more success this weekend. That's on Tuesday night. It's on RTE1 and it's at 10 o'clock. OK, it's time for us to go then. Well, it's been a big day for Mayo, Dublin and Cork. And they all had difficult tasks facing them this afternoon, but they've passed with honours. Until next week, bye-bye.
On a motorway, remember the keep left.
No
Paul Morris gets the touch. Mark Foley comes across. TJ Ryan is available if he needs him, which he does, but he doesn't get a chance. Through to Limerick. This time they have to start dropping it in. David Kennedy being fouled by Stephen Lucy. Free to Tipperary. Just a point, Cyril. The match against Clare, it must have helped Tipperary to prepare for today.
I was just going to say that, Marty. A good championship match under the belt, there's no doubt about it. Like, it puts you in the driving seat, and their confidence since that, you know, they were confident going into it, and they were twice as confident since.
Here's Brian O'Mara, though. All those puck outs out towards Brian O'Mara being won. He has the height over Mark Foley. And Mark Foley has played his heart out at left half back, but it is one way to curb this Limerick team. Keep Mark Foley in a defensive role. Brian Begley. James Butler. And the result is a point.
Yeah, Martin, even when Limerick score now, the crowd aren't getting behind. It's kind of gone dead for Limerick.
And there were great hopes in Limerick. They were really anticipating a performance. Remember, Limerick have won the last 2 under-21 All-Ireland, 7 of them playing today. Mix in the experience of Stephen McDonagh and Kieran Kerry, and you can understand why Limerick people were well hopeful, and maybe perhaps even quietly confident. Brian Begley, again, defensively, Tipperary looked so strong, so organised. Tomas Dunn, giving it long, up towards Conor Gleeson, who's moved into full forward. Damien Rea. Owen Kelly dispossessing him. It's untidy, and the referee will call a halt to it. And that's going to be, I'm sure, a throw ball on the 13-metre line. Well, just 2 points separated the teams last year in the Munster final. But I think there can be no doubt about who are the winners here today.
Yeah, Marty, but like winning All-Ireland gives you confidence, and like improving as you go along. This Tip team is getting better and better.
Brian O'Mara, pass was just a little bit too strong. Kieran Kerry. Peter Lawler. Can Limerick create something that will break down this Tipperary defence? We've been saying it for most of the second half, but so far, nothing happening. Back outside to Kieran Kerry.
Yeah, they're trying to force it in there, Martin. I was just thinking back to a good few years ago, like, there's no Joe McKinnon now playing full forward. Like, you know, that man could change a game, but it's hard to see it happen here today.
Wind assisted, all they've managed are 5 points in the second half. It's not a good return. Mark Keane. And of that 111, Mark Keane has scored 7 times. Hits this over the bar. Another point for Limerick. 119 Tipperary, 112 Limerick. 7 points between the teams. 3 minutes left. Barry Kelly, the linesman down here in front of us, has been informed by Aidan McSwivna. And it looks like, from what we can gather from our sideline, that it's going to be just 1 minute. We'll have confirmation of that in a moment. A little bit of a push on John Carroll by TJ Ryan, who's followed him out to centre half back. Mark Foley working tirelessly. Clem Smith, that's a better quality ball, and it comes down to big Brian Begley. David Kennedy, plenty of defenders. Philip Marr, they're just there in numbers all the time. Comes to Peter Lawler, another floating one, and a second point for the right half back from Krug.
Yeah, Marty, at this stage now, Peter Lawler in the last 5 minutes got out midfield, and like, you know, it's his debutant really in the championship, and he'll be quite happy, and the manager will be quite happy, and he's proven himself.
Continuing on the great tradition of good Croom hurlers, the late Garrett Howard was from Croom, so too was Peter Cregan back in the 1940s. TJ Ryan flicking it outside past Kieran Kerry. They need to drop this one in. Kieran Kerry obliges. Brian Begley comes in with a challenge. Tom Costello on the ground with the sliotar. Blocked. And the umpire signals that is going to be a puck out for Brendan Cummins. So Liam Cahill is going to be introduced. It looks like Conor Gleeson is the player that's going to make way. And Liam Cahill could well take up the responsibilities of the full forward position. Liam, of course, was in action earlier for Conor, as it turned out, when Conor got that knock to the forehead. Peter Lawler, Barry Foley and Kieran Carey all involved, and eventually it comes to Tomas Dunn. Great catch. Benny Dunn, Brian O'Mara, fouled yet again. Another free. Mark Foley again causing, or rather Brian O'Mara again causing problems for Mark Foley.
Yeah, and the management of Tipple have a big problem the next day. The problem in the sense, a nice problem. Benny Dunn is playing very, very well, Martin. It's going to be very hard to leave him off that team. He's going to feel he should be on it.
Owen Kelly taps that over the bar for his 12th point of the match. Joe Craig again will aim for Kieran Carey. Again, working so hard. Again, they try to float it in. More in hope than anything else. Creative or imaginative. Corcoran hit by a fair shoulder. Well, not quite, says Aidan McSibbler from Brian Begley. And the referee gives a free to Tipperary.
Yeah, it's very slow blowing a whistle, and I didn't see much wrong with that, Marty, as such. Like, it's just a rattle. You know, the Tip guys wouldn't even complain on him, you know. It's part of the game.
Certainly appeared to me to be a fair shoulder, but Tipperary have a free. And at this stage, it's Tipperary. People rejoice, quite happy, and rightly so. They're still en route to the retaining of their Munster title. Liam Cahill switching it across. The referee, Aidan McSwigner, brings an end to Limerick's misery, and a joyous day again for Tipperary. They're heading for the Munster final here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh on the 30th of June against Waterford. Nicky English can congratulate his players after a fine performance. They were always the masters, always in control, and on the day fully deserved to win. Full-time score from Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Tipperary 1 goal, 20 points. Limerick 1 goal, 13. Let's go down to the sideline with some post-match reaction and join Robbie Irwin.
Yes, again, thank you very much indeed, Marty. Conor Gleeson joins me. Conor, in the end, a very comprehensive win.
I don't know, I wouldn't agree, Robbie. 10 minutes to go there, I think it was back to 6 points and they nearly got a goal, so we're delighted with our performance. We knew that we'd have to play very well at the start of the second half. It was a very strong win and we were only 6 points up. So all in all, I know we won by maybe 7 or 8 points there in the end, but it was still tight up till the end.
Tell us a bit about the Tipperary performance from your perspective.
I think everybody worked really hard today. When we didn't have the ball, I think it was when we won the game. We fought very hard to get the ball back and put the Limerick guys under as much pressure as possible, so that they couldn't do what they wanted with the ball. Put it in the positions for their forwards to score. So that was the best part of our game. I think everyone just...
A lot of those wides, I mean, they were in fact points for Tipperary in a sense. Limerick had an awful lot of wides.
Yeah, I was just talking to Joe Quaid there at the very end of the match, and he was just saying, you know, that just things didn't hop right for them today, and just things went well for us.
Well done, Conor. Nicky English, congratulations, Nicky.
Yeah, we're delighted. You know, we knew coming down that Limerick were going to be a major test, and you know, in a curious way, there was more pressure on Limerick today than there was last year. You know, there was a lot of pressure on us in the Munster final last year, and you know, it was a great chance for Limerick last year because they didn't have as much pressure. You know, we had to win that game last year because we were 2 or 3 years on the road, and if we didn't win the Munster final, it would have been a step backwards. You know, the pressure was on Limerick today, and you know, we knew that, and we knew they'd play a big game, and you know, we worked to make sure that our guys would work all over the field and to get pressure on, and you know, it resulted in Limerick hitting a lot of wides today.
Absolutely. Nicky, congratulations, best of luck in the Munster final.
Yeah, I think we'll need it, you know, like in a curious way now there's real pressure on Tipperary. Waterford will be delighted with the result today. They won't have anything to lose, and you know, they have some great players who have been around a long time and who would deserve a Munster medal, and you know, I think it's going to be a major test for us.
Well done. Thank you very much indeed, Nicky English.
And thank you very much, Robbie Irvin. Well, it's been a great day really for Tipperary. Always the masters. They showed off their hurling artistry despite this fabulous goal by Ollie Moran. But then Brian O'Mara showed his artistry with some lovely stick work and then had the vision to set up John Carroll for a fine goal. And despite Limerick's best efforts, John Carroll continued to threat. And it was Joe Quaid that came to the rescue here with a great point-blank save. And Limerick tried their best, but overall they really had no response, and often many times shooting wide. Some of the substitutes did so well, particularly Benny Dunn. Nicky English is going to have a busy time picking his team for the Munster hurling final. And that's the story from Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Certainly Tipperary, the Masters, the Munster All-Ireland champions, are through to the Munster hurling final on June 30th.
They are indeed. Thank you very much to Marty Morrissey and Cyril Farrell, our commentary team down there in Cork. Pete Finnerty, Ger Loughnane have been watching this match with me here in the studio. Pete, 7 points, the difference in the scoreboard, and a universe, the difference in reality.
Absolutely. Limerick only scored 7 points in the second half with the breeze. We were saying how it was difficult to get past the Tipperary defence in the first half. It was even twice as more difficult in the second half.
Yeah.
The big names never stepped up to the plate for Limerick. Mark Foley got cleaned by Brian O'Mara. O'Mara seems to have an X over him at this stage. Stephen Lucy wasn't in the game. Ollie Moore not scoring a goal in the first half. We thought he might raise it, didn't. And Brian Begley wasn't really effective at full forward either. Limerick petered out of the game very, very quietly. After a good beginning, first 20 minutes, Tipperary took control. Tipperary remained in control, and as the game went on, Tipperary looked stronger and stronger.
I think the thing about it is, Ger Loughnane, that 12 months ago, Limerick would have looked at a few things in that game against Tip that they lost and said, a few ifs and buts here, a few things we might change, we can be a much better team. The reality is, though, that Tip are twice as good a team perhaps as they were last year.
Well, Nicky English said it there after the game, really. You know, there was more pressure on Limerick going into this game to win than there was on Tip. Like, this was a game Limerick simply had to win. They've been around now 2 or 3 years. They have a great combination of experienced players and young players. And in the first 20 minutes, it seemed as if they might do something. But then they showed, when things went against them, they showed that they didn't really believe they were going to win this game.
Yeah.
And Limerick lost today. Apart from their lack of skill, their lack of belief. They never really believe, because the test of a team, whether they believe or not, is when something goes against them. And when John Carroll got that goal, they just went down like a punctured balloon after that. And Tipperary, I think, have shown today just what winning in All-Ireland does for a team. Yeah. Their composure, the way they're playing now. They're playing much better now than they're playing last year. They never seem ruffled. Their defence is absolutely fantastic. And the simple, you know, hurling is often said it's a simple game.
Sure.
And they play it like that. Yeah. They get that ball, they fight like tigers in defence to get the ball, and when they get it, they move it fast into the forward line and pick off simple scores. When you think that John Carroll was wing back last year, he's now one of their best forwards. Benny Dunn played wing back in every league game this year. He comes in against Clare at wing forward. He scores 2 points a day and stakes a claim for the next day.
Yeah.
So they're playing this total hurling, if you like. And I'll tell you, it's going to be some team that stops Tip this year.
No, there's no doubt about that whatsoever. Thanks, Ger, for the moment. We just want to take a look at the statistics from that particular match and sum all that up as we leave matters down in Cork. 120 to 113 then was the final score. Tip 12 frees, Limerick 16 frees, 11 wides for Limerick, 8 for Tipperary, and 4 yellow cards issued throughout the course of the day. Okay, we have a commercial break to take. Back with more analysis after that.
In Mozambique, the Inaminga tribe believe that if a man is skillful enough to capture a lock of a lion's mane, then his own hair will grow back. The men stalk the lion with great stealth and exceptional precision. myths about treating hair loss, but for a proven way to keep your hair in 4 out of 5 cases, get Regain.
Only one thing can distract Michael Owen from his football. Tasty new Sporties. The sweet and crunchy cereal packed with delicious good stuff. It's loved by kids everywhere, and of course, by a top sportsman or two. Like sport, love delicious new Sporties.
That's why the lady is a tramp. That's why the lady
Lolo, good for life.
Behind a great sandwich, behind a great salad, you'll find a great ham. Deli-style ham from Deli. Generous slices of Deli-quality ham. Deli-style ham from Deli.
Hey, look what I got. Thank you, Mommy and Daddy. What is it? Is it a toy? I can't see anything. Ooh, feel that. Maybe it's a teddy bear. Hello, Teddy. There's a bounce. Yeah, look at that. I love it. No, don't take it away. It's mine.
Kitten Soft, the gentle touch of softness the whole family can feel.
He's taking his time over this one. First long one today, needs a steady hand. He's cleared the water hazard, now gently. A bit of luck there, but they all count.
Hope you're practicing for the Murphy's Irish Open. Photo Island, Cork, starting June 27th.
Ryan's Jewellers, Rocher Street, Limerick specialise in quality diamond jewellery. So celebrate that special occasion with a diamond ring from Ryan's Jewellers, 44 Rocher Street, Limerick.
HDG Plumbers. Connect your Qualpex to Qualplumb. Quality Plastic's new invention will fit your pipes to perfection. Shahanish is Malaman Qualplumb.
Air into Cork Airport, moving forward fast. 40 sun flights a week to 18 destinations. 9 flights a day to London. Magnificent travel value shop. Air into Cork Airport, the friendly way to travel and your departure point to more destinations more often.
You know, we're great together. But I found something new and more exciting. And it satisfies me in a way I never thought possible.
Herbal Essences shampoo. Is it the exhilarating fragrance? Is it the natural herbs and botanicals? Whatever. Every woman should be this satisfied at least once a day.
Yes! Yes!
No. Clairol Herbal Essences shampoos and conditioners are totally organic experience.
Welcome back again to the programme. We've just been talking in the commercial break here, I suppose, about the prospects, particularly in the Munster final. Waterford, who've been watching that with interest. And I presume, Pete, a certain trepidation as well.
Absolutely. Tipperary looked awesome today. I'm actually disappointed with the game that we saw. I thought we were going to get a great game of hurling today. But Tipperary had all the aces. They were absolutely fantastic. They're stronger now than they ever were. And they've given out a clear message to everybody that they have strength in depth. Like you have Noel Morris, who's playing out of his skin. Donegal has settled in cornerback. Conor Gleeson, he was quiet today, but he had a great game the last day. And Shani McMahon from Clare. And you have Brian O'Mara back to his very best. John Carroll comes along today and he shows that he's still able to trouble any central defender. And one thing Tipperary have now is they have strength in what you call the cross. If you fill the cross, you can work off that. Down the middle, they have Philip Maher, David Kennedy, Tom Dunn, Noel Morris, Conor Gleeson, and you have John Carroll. And with forwards like Young Dunn to introduce and things like that, they have a panel realistically of 23, 24 to pick from. And Gerard was saying, as we were talking there before the break, or during the break, he says English has his homework done so well. Yeah. You know, he analysed Mark Foley's strength, and that was going forward, and where his weakness was in behind. And O'Mara broke everything in behind, turned fast in behind as well. Peter Lawler had a great game for Limerick at cornerback, a great first championship game. But again, his weakness is going back towards goal. Again, Nicholas English worked on that, and the cross ball was in behind it. English has really put together a quality side, and being honest, I didn't think they were as good as what we've seen today, and the only thing is they're going to get better.
Well, they're taking a step closer to retaining their Munster title, and that, of course, will be against Waterford. That's for another day. Right now, though, we're going to wrap up for you on the scores of the day and the results of the day. If you don't actually want to see all of these scores, just look away for the moment, because these matches will feature tonight on the Sunday game. Yes, as I said, those are the matches that will feature tonight on the Sunday game, so watch out for that. Now, some other information for you. Those are the games, by the way, that will feature tonight. Westmeath, Meath against Westmeath, Mayo, Galway, Antrim, Derry, Limerick and Tipperary, and there will be more besides all of that. And also the draw for the qualifying matches in the Football Championship. Those first round of qualifiers, games will be played next Saturday. We have the draw tonight, so also, as I said, watch out for that. Now, the man of the match phone numbers. Now, this is from the first game today. This is the Mayo-Galway match. 1550 717 114 for the Republic. 0906 614 2048 from Northern Ireland. The phone lines are open until 8 o'clock. That's from our first game. And the phone lines for the second match, Limerick v Tip. Who's the man of the match from that game? It's your choice. 1550 717 115. 0906 614 1818 is the phone line from Northern Ireland. Now, also just a word about a new competition that we have for you in the nighttime programme in association with Vodafone. We have a top-of-the-range mobile phone to give, also free credit time on that phone, and there's also a chance to win tickets to the Vodafone GA All-Stars banquet later on in the year. So watch out for that on the nighttime programme. All right then, that's it for now. A day in which both All-Ireland champions were in action. Well, Galway certainly left it late in Castlebar, but eventually their composure told against Mayo. The hurling champions Tip showed their composure all day long against Limerick, and they're still the Munster champions. See you at 9:30, hopefully. For now, bye-bye.